Okay.
Oh, he's turning the recording on early. Kevin, do I see an observer sitting behind you at this meeting? I think I see the illustrious alum of the Board of Elections.
Yes.
Hello, Mr. Benoff. Welcome to the Board of Elections. Welcome back to the Board of Elections.
Thank you. There, 30 minutes.
Diana, are you trying to participate in our meeting while driving? Okay. Good, because that might be difficult, especially if you're by yourself.
You're muted, Diane.
Who do we have there?
Yeah, short.
David Diane.
Yeah, I mean, we're not ready until I have two more members on. Kina looks like she needs to be promoted. There we go.
Yeah, David, do you see the others? Let's see here.
No.
Just Keena. You want me to text Alex?
Yes. And Ami.
Yeah, I'll text them.
Daniel may be occupied with our visiting delegation because they were a little late leaving Bethesda Chevy Chase to go to their next stop. Although I did tell the EAC people that Daniel has a meeting at 11 o'clock. Margie needs to be promoted, and then I think we can get started.
Yeah, I just went ahead and then texted Alex and Ami.
Perfect, thank you. Oh, and Daniel also needs to be promoted. Excellent. Well, to be fair, I should ask Margie the same question that I asked Diane. Are you in a moving vehicle, Margie, or are you in a stationary vehicle? You are muted, but you're muted. We can't hear you. We can't hear you, Margie. You're muted.
I'm in a stationary vehicle. I'm abiding by to driving laws in Maryland.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. I'm not sure if the driving laws in Maryland would prohibit you from being in a moving vehicle. Diane may be not in a moving vehicle, but it looks like she's in a moving vehicle. She says she's not. Hopefully, Diane will find the unmute button. Daniel needs to be, and Ami both need to be promoted.
Okay, I'm on. I apologize. I was trying to calm down a situation.
Okay, don't apologize for trying to calm down a situation. That's one of our main roles and our most important ones.
Yeah, well, I've got people yelling at each other at Cabin John, but okay.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for calming it down. All right, so I think I see everyone but Alex at this point. Why don't we get started? Since it is 3 minutes after 11. Daniel, hopefully you're also not in a moving vehicle. Okay, thank you. I appreciate. I have asked that question of anyone in a car, so just want to keep you safe. So not to mention everyone around you.
Thank you.
Okay, so this meeting is called to order. I think the main purpose of the meeting is to report on whatever we have observed. Boris, should I start with you? Is there anything that you would like to report to the group?
Just a very brief input from me. Staff has been in the building since 5 o'clock this morning. We've been communicating with our chiefs and the election workers since 6 when they enter their locations where the polling places are situated today. We went through the opening procedure today at 7 as required. As historically is the case, it was no different today that we had lines at 7 o'clock upon the opening. Most of the polling places do not have lines at this point. One prominent exception is Gaithersburg High School.
I'm sorry, Gaithersburg High School is the exception to the lack of lines, is what you're saying?
Gaithersburg High School has a significant line throughout the whole morning.
I also got an email indicating that Gaithersburg Elementary School also may have a significant line.
We will look at that. As I said,
yes,
we have to go by what we hear. Again, it's early morning. We understand that our voters are eager to vote. Many came in early in the morning today, so we will see how they evolve.
Yeah, absolutely, and I understand that. I got an email from Delegate Ryan Spiegel saying that the line is very long and slow at Gaithersburg Elementary School polling place. That sounded to me like he had been there. So if you could follow up on that, that would be great. But I assume, all of our polling places open on time?
Yeah, what we communicated with the chief judges, we didn't have problems to open polling places on time.
Okay. All right, and thank you to all the staff members for being there at that hour that would have been extraordinarily challenging for me if I were in their shoes. So, but appreciate all that. Kevin, I'm going to go to you next and see if there's anything you've heard that we should all hear.
Just that I've gone to Gaithersburg High School as well. There is about a 30-minute wait there, so we're trying to address that line. There was, I think, some incorrect information that Seneca Valley did not open on time. It did open on time, Seneca Valley High School. There's no line as far as I can tell at Seneca Valley High School, so that has been resolved. For those that are listening that voted Seneca Valley, please keep in mind that the polling place is actually in the back of the building. So if you're looking for the shortest route to get to the polling place, you should go around to the back back of the building. There's parking there, and it's a much shorter walk to get to the actual polling location, the polling room. But I don't have anything else to add. It's been relatively, knock on wood, quiet.
Okay, thank you for that. If it's okay with everyone, I'm not necessarily going to go in our typical order. I'm going to call on Keena next because I got a call and a text this morning from Delegate Ann Kaiser, who was waiting to vote at Riderwood. And Keena has actually been there to see what can be done to make things go more smoothly there. So Keena, why don't you report?
Thank you, Mr. President. So as it's been stated, I am currently at Riderwood, observing the operations here today. There was a report that things were moving a bit slow for this polling location. Currently, there is an hour wait. Per the staff of Riderwood, they have both on the PG side and Montgomery County side, actually, they have given numbers to assist with those who are coming in so they don't have to stand and wait. Instead, they can have their number called, and that is when they will be processed at the polling books. That being said, to help move things along, I have provided the suggestion that they kind of bring conversation down to a minimum for the greeters so that they can quickly call the numbers up to the poll books. I've also provided the suggestion that at the polling books, they give a rough estimate to how many people are at the BMDs to better assist them with making a decision about what kind of voting they'd like to do today. So that has helped things speed things along a little bit. I've also provided the suggestion that they have almost like a running line for each of the BMDs as given by our president. They have shared that in terms of feedback for that, while they appreciate that, they don't quite have the number of staff members at this time in order to execute that bit of feedback. So we're utilizing the first two that I've shared in hopes that it will help get the line going. And someone has already shared that it's thinned out a little bit. So it was nice to hear, but there is at this time a 1 hour wait at Riderwood on the Montgomery County side.
Well, a 1 hour wait is a lot. And I'm not quite sure I understand why my suggestion requires more staff. Because my suggestion was that rather than having one line and then having everyone walk from the one line to the ballot marking devices, to have a line at each ballot marking device so that one voter gets up, the next one is already there.
Yes.
That sounds to me like it requires chairs, not people.
According to our chief judge, that the feedback was that it would, from their perspective, need a bit more people for that.
Did they explain what people they would need
At least 2 to 3 more staff members
to do what?
to help provide a line to each of the ballot marking devices as was suggested.
No, I wasn't suggesting a line at each device. I was suggesting one person in line at each device. I was suggesting basically an on-deck chair so that
Yes.
when somebody gets there, they sit while the person's voting. The next person, when the person leaves the voting, the person who is sitting gets up, and the next person in the line for voting then goes to that chair.
Yes.
Maybe they need someone to manage the line, but I don't know if anyone has any other suggestions, but a 1 hour wait is not an acceptable situation. And they're also using a numbering system, which I've never heard of before. Is that something they've done before?
Yes, it is something they've done before. This is something I've noticed before for the primaries, but also something I noticed before in my childhood being around the Riderwood area. And it's not unique to the Montgomery County side.
Well, what they do on the Prince George's side is really not terribly relevant to us. I did hear from Delegate Kaiser that at one point someone came into the Montgomery polling place and said there is no line at the Prince George's polling place. And that is a bit of information that is really not useful because our Montgomery County voters want to vote in Montgomery County. And if they vote in Prince George's, they will not get the ballot to vote in Montgomery County unless they happen to be in the 4th Congressional District. So,
Of course.
so anyway, I'm hoping, well,
David, you're
Boris-
muted.
No, he's not.
I'm sorry. Did someone say I'm muted?
No, I can hear you.
Okay. Boris, do you have any suggestions for us on anything we can do at Riderwood other than what we've already done?
Was there anything? Okay. If I may just suggest that we rely on our volunteers to serve our voters to the best possible extent. We also rely on our volunteers to reach out to us if there's any evolving situation that we might help to address. And I would also appreciate anyone who has any information at any moment in the course of the day to share that information with us so we can consider it and react timely. So let us look at this and we will follow to see what we can do.
Well, Boris, I will say that I think it is one of the roles of board members to try to solve such situations without burdening you with all of them. I mean, that's why we're there. If there is an efficiency that we can identify, I do not want to spend lots of time analyzing whether to implement it unless we are proposing something that is, that there is an affirmative reason not to do. If we have 1 hour waits and there are ways to make them 45-minute waits, and I know we don't have a bench of people to just send to polling places. So I know that we can't just say, oh, here's 3 more people. We don't have 3 more people. My inclination would be to try to implement suggestions and not simply say that's not the way we've done it before. So I want to make sure I understand what you're asking of us, because I don't think it's just our role to report in on these things. It's also our role to try to make things better if it can be done easily.
Absolutely. And if I'm consistent in anything in my life, it's the idea that I'm not married to the history and the processes we applied in the history. All I'm just saying, it's I like to know as early as possible. That's all I'm trying to say.
Okay. I can understand that. And we definitely want to keep you in the loop on everything that we're doing. And that is, of course, the purpose of this meeting, but also the reason why I have you on speed dial. And we all can,
Yes.
absolutely. I guess what I'm trying to figure out, Kina, is whether I should
Yes.
go pay a visit to Riderwood and see it for myself, or whether you think that because I mean, the suggestion I gave you came from a previous election. I'm at Leisure World at the moment. I have not yet
Yes.
had a chance to be inside the polling place, but I have a lot of experience at this location. And in my experience, a good portion of the wait at Leisure World, when they've had waits in the past, this is many years ago, was caused by the time it took people to walk from the line to wherever it was that they were going to cast their ballot. And the way that we
Yes.
solved it on that occasion, and this was many years ago, Governor O'Malley was the governor, but I can't remember which year it was. But the way we solved it was the way that I just suggested, and it did not require more people. It just required more chairs.
Understood.
So perhaps
Understood.
you can have another conversation with the chief judge, and see if there's, if they have any other suggestions, as for what we can do to move things along. I mean, obviously, there's only so much we can do, but and if anyone else has any suggestions, please, feel free to speak up. Kina, while you have the floor, did you have other places you wanted to report on in terms of anything unusual or et cetera?
Nothing unusual. I will just report in a positive manner that I had also visited Sherwood Elementary School. They had a bit of a line at the beginning, which is not unusual for other polling locations on this day. And they seem to be processing people very quickly. They had a few first-time voters. That was lovely to see. And of that polling location as well, considering the amount of new people to the process, they seem to be going along smoothly. So that was just very encouraging to see for Sherwood Elementary School. I plan on visiting a couple of locations today and look forward to reporting back. But as far as those two are concerned, they're doing the best they can.
Thank you, Kina.
Yes, Mr. President.
Okay, Jerry, if you can hear me, or Boris, if you're within earshot of Jerry, under the attendees, Karen V is Alex, so someone should promote him. And Dee Dee Nash is Diane, so that person also should be promoted to being a panelist. And thank you. Oh, I guess Jerry heard me. Thank you so much.
So David, may I just add something?
Yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
Which I certainly agree, the board plays a vital role in trying to manage the lines, but there is the potential that the staff may be able to add additional resources. So
Awesome.
please, I mean, an hour is a long time at Riderwood. So, if that's a situation, or at any location where the line is more than 30 minutes, in addition to doing what the board's doing, please have everyone call it in so that it can be evaluated to see whether it's an equipment issue, whether it's, a line issue, what the problem may be, to try and expedite it.
That sounds
Kevin,
great.
To that point, yes, Mr. President, Kevin, to that point, you did mention calling in for an equipment issue. Riderwood has already shared that they had called in for the request of an additional poll book. Obviously, they are not new to advocating for themselves, but is that something that can be resolved today if resolution is an option?
Additional poll books can be deployed if they're having a problem. They're having a problem getting one to work, but also there can be a roamer that can be deployed to see whether the roamer can go ahead and get the poll book to reboot and function properly. So it's a combination of both.
But it sounds like they don't just want an additional poll book, Keener. They want an additional poll book operator.
At bare minimum, what I can say word for word is that they want an additional poll book.
Yeah, but do they have a malfunctioning poll book, or do they just
No.
do they have someone who can sit at the poll book and do it and has been trained to do it?
To my knowledge, it sounds like they do, but I do not want to speak outside of turn. I want to only speak to what they have specifically shared with me, which is the request for additional poll book. Now,
Okay.
I believe that upon going back to conversation, they will confirm that they do have someone who can work that poll book.
And I gather that, Boris, the staff would probably want to just follow up directly with the Riderwood team?
May I just say something?
Please.
We will, just give us a second.
Yeah, because there's a bit of an echo there.
Okay, we will look for the option. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
We will look for the options to assist. However, bear in mind, it's election day. We are limited in the terms of available volunteers to dispatch to the locations. And every additional piece of equipment has to be followed with additional election judge.
Right.
If in Riderwood, they divert election judge from the scanner to the poll book, you will create a line somewhere else.
Right. Right.
You will create a potential that someone will scan in a provisional ballot.
Yeah, can't have that.
We have to balance what we can do with the needs at the place. We all understand that life happens. The number of election judges and volunteers that we had in place as of yesterday is not the number that we have today. Things do happen. People get sick, cars cannot start or whatever. So we are being very cautious about what we can promise because we need to deliver what we promise.
Maybe when do you get?
Absolutely. Thank you, Boris, for that perspective and that feedback as well.
Anytime.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Kina. I just want to report that I've now gotten a text from Julie Polakovich Carr, who's also a delegate from District 17, also asking about Gaithersburg Elementary. And that they had just counted 65 people in line there. So anything that you guys can do there would be appreciated. Let me go to Alex next, if that's okay. I'm just going in the order that people are on my screen. Just it's virtually random, but you know, whatever the case. Alex, anything to report from this morning?
Things I visited St. Jane de Chantal, 710, St. Dunstan's Episcopal Church, I think that's 724 or 727, and Little Flower Church, 727. Things are going very well. The longest wait was 20 minutes at 7 o'clock in the morning, but all the places report they are proceeding smoothly, no major problems. St. Dunstan's said that they probably could speed things up a little bit if they had a third poll book instead of just two. But again, I don't know if the line was long enough to justify anything like that because it was only about 10 people or so when I got there. So the people who are working there, especially the chiefs, are longtime veterans, and they've got good staff, and nothing, no major problems.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I want to report that St. Camillus, which is 0514, opened up on time, and there was no significant in terms of delay. There was, of course, morning rush, and there's a rush that was still there when I left to go to White Oak Middle School. White Oak Middle School, there was a heavy rush this morning, and also some people decided to leave and leave and say they're coming back because of this significant line. In fact, there was somebody there, from what I was told, at 6 a.m. this morning waiting at White Oak Middle School. I'm currently at Tacoma Park Middle School, where I greeted the foreign delegation that they're visiting, and it was again a big turnout at Tacoma Park Middle School, and there was a rush this morning. There's a rush even as I speak right now, and I know the dinner rush is going to be even big. But excuse me, the chief judges are amazing. All the chief judges in all the places I've just visited are amazing. The line control at Tacoma Park Middle School is really, really well. It's going very well. So even though the line is coming a little bit outside of the building, but people, they're getting people in and out. And based on the 3 experiences, it seems like everybody could use a BMD, but the reality, I think, just as Boris says, we may not have BMDs for everybody right now, but the line control, it's really going well for these 3 places that I've visited, where, the greater or the future vote volunteer that is there, they're working hand in hand to make sure that the line is managed well and people are also going through the process seamlessly. So that's what I have to report on the foreign delegation. Again, as I said, just give them a high-level overview because it was getting close to our board meeting. Handed them over to the chief judges, who break them up because there were a little bit of a big crowd, and there was already a line and a crowd in the facility. So the suggestion was to break them up into smaller groups and get them through to observe, respecting the voters' privacy as well.
Yes.
So I decided to have a designated area within for the reporters, for the media people who are with them.
There are no media people with the delegation, according to them.
Apparently, when they came, there were some people with cameras and who were recording. So we made sure that they were far away where
Okay.
they couldn't, um, record any of the in terms of the voters enfranchising themselves in terms of participating in the voting process.
Yes, and thank you, Daniel, for doing that. Ami and I greeted the same delegation when they came to Bethesda Chevy Chase High School, and we actually had a pretty lengthy discussion with them, again, at an overview level before they left Bethesda Chevy Chase to come to Tacoma Park. And at that time, they told me that they didn't have any media people, but maybe they picked some up along the way. Um, so, but anyway, thank you for doing that. Ami.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. I've mostly been dealing with electioneering issues. Got a call early this morning from Stacy on an issue at Bells Mill Elementary. I solved that by getting them to look up the no electioneering lines on the website, which had them solve it satisfactory to everybody. I'm currently at Cabot John Middle School, where we had one outside electioneer person yelling at another. I moved the tables a little further apart and hopefully calm that down some. I got a complaint from the volunteers at Potomac Community Center, and I'm on my way to go there next. Apparently, some people have been logging on to a non-Board of Elections website and have been directed to vote at community center, although that's not their actual precinct. And so they have arrived and been all upset. I told them the options are, look it up on our website where they're supposed to go and go there, or to file a provisional ballot at the community center at Potomac if they didn't want to go to another site. That's about all that I have to report on.
Do you know what the volume is? I apologize that the light in this room keeps going off, and I'm going to have to go turn it back on again. Do you know what the volume is of the people at Potomac who are in the wrong place? Is it worth sending someone there to help the voters to find their correct polling places? Because that was a contributing factor to the long lines at the Praisner Center in 2018. And I spent a good portion of that day just going down the line of voters, telling them, your polling place is X, which was, X usually being pretty close by. But sometimes the voters aren't able to find our lookup quite as easily as we can.
Okay, that's a good point. I will check. I'll go down the line when I get there and see. I am aware of 3 instances so far this morning where they had been sent there from another website.
And I should say that was also an issue at Gaithersburg in a previous election where people were being sent to Gaithersburg High School when they actually voted in adjoining precincts. So that would be something for us to think about as well. Boris, I see you have your hand up.
Just very briefly, Ami, did you capture which website they were going to get wrong information?
Well, actually, it was something like voter.org or voter.com.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Take care.
Okay.
Something like that. I will ask somebody to verify that if it happens again. But I was more concerned with making sure they were comfortable with, voting provisionally or going to a new place. That worrying. I mean, I told them, the best way to find it was to go to our website.
I am on voter. Which one am I on? I'm on voter.org, and it does have a link to the state website in order to find your polling place, which of course is what we would want them to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it would be helpful to find out where they're getting their incorrect information and actually to like look on it and see whether whether we can see what the incorrect information is. Voter.com doesn't work on my computer at the moment.
Okay, so it may be just voter.org.
Yeah, but
Um,
voter.org has a link to the state website, which should give them the correct information.
Well, maybe we ought to verify that it does. I will try and get more information if I run across it again, that we can track it down. I commented that one of the problems may be that a website hasn't been updated since the early voting site. And that may be part of the problem.
David, perhaps we should encourage them to use the check feature in the text message.
Yes,
We'll send them right there.
that's a very good idea, Alex.
Okay, I'll encourage them to do that.
Right.
I mean, remember, some of these, though, are older folk who may not be comfortable with text.
Right. Well,
So
that's why I was suggesting that they may need help from someone associated with the board in order to help find this.
Okay, I'll get there and make an assessment as to the magnitude of the problem.
May I just add that texting option will still take you to the same state website. And the transition from early voting to election day does not change the access to the initial voter registration, so data stays the same. It must be. That's why I said I would like to look at this. If there was some misunderstanding that we need to look at, that may be correct going forward. I appreciate.
Okay,
it. I
I'll
really
get
appreciate it.
I'll get whatever data I can.
Okay. Thank you, Ami. Margie.
Hi, so I've been to Neighborhood Church, which is precinct 914, and Ashbury Methodist Village, which is 928. Everything looks pretty good there. There was a little bit of a line at Neighborhood Church, but nothing significant. The traffic there is kind of bad. There's one of the It's off of the church itself is off a main road, and one of the lanes is closed for construction almost all the way down the road. The traffic wasn't too bad when I came in, but as I was leaving, it was really difficult to get out. The parking lot was packing up. So hopefully nothing is bad, but there's not anything really significant. They said everything was good on their end. So just wanted to note that. For Ashbury
Margie.
Methodist Village.
Margie, I
Yeah.
apologize. Did you notice a crossing guard there?
Yes, there were a couple.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and they were very helpful. And then the next thing for Ashbury Methodist Village, they said that they're down a scanner, a ballot scanner, or that's what they mentioned to me, and that they called at 8:05 for it. And they haven't received any word. So that's one thing they noted. And I'm trying to think if there's anything that's like time sensitive. And the only other thing is that they're getting a lot of, because it's an older community, they are getting a lot of voter assistance requests, and it's kind of slowing down a lot of the judges. One judge spent 45 minutes helping a voter. So they wanted to mention that. But there isn't a line here, so it's not something that I think right now is like urgent, but it's just something that I wanted to note. In terms of things that are all urgent related to today, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Diane tells me that she is not able to unmute. So I asked her to send me her report, and here is what she said. And Diane, if you are able to unmute, of course, feel free to do so and to speak for yourself. I have had a blessedly uneventful morning until I tried joining our meeting. Visited the Kensington area locations, Silver Creek School and Village Hall with rather light turnout and no reports of any problems or issues. And I'll just report from my morning. I started at St. Elizabeth's Church on Montrose Road, precinct 430. I had not been to I live right near there, but I had not been to the voting location before, which is around the very side of the building, the very right-hand side if you're facing the building. And when I got there, the signage was really inadequate. With help from the roamer whose name is escaping me right now, we did a significant amount of improved signage in order to make it clear to the voters the voters who vote there regularly, I think, understand where the polls are. But the ones who don't, we wanted to make it as easy as possible. And I know that there are two media outlets that may be stopping there to film some B-roll this afternoon or sometime today. Hopefully they'll be able to find it now with the additional signage. And they had a steady stream of people during the time I was there. I also stopped at the Bender Jewish Community Center, which is in a very small room, but it's apparently a very small precinct. The issue there, and I don't know if there's any easy, it's not really an issue, it's a minor issue, but people come to that building and then they think because they're in the building that they can vote, even though they don't live in that precinct. They come to the building from many other places. It's just a reminder to our voters once again that, on election day, it's a different situation than it is for early voting. And then Ami and I went to Bethesda Chevy Chase High School to meet with the delegation from the Election Assistance Commission, which is the delegation from Eastern Europe mostly. Commissioner Christy McCormick was there from the EAC. And Bethesda Chevy Chase had an active polling place that was going on while our visitors were observing, and had a number of interesting questions. And then I came to Leisure World. I have not been inside the polling area yet, but there is a lot of construction at Leisure World Clubhouse 1. So there's literally two separate areas, two separate entrances, and two separate electioneering areas. I've only been to one of them so far because they've essentially torn down the building that you would have seen in the typical electioneering area in Clubhouse 1. And there's a whole bunch of fencing around the construction area. So anyway, I'm going to take a look around afterwards, but that was the only thing I saw thus far, is that people are kind of spread out over here. I haven't had a chance to go to any of the other Leisure World precincts yet. I basically got here just in time to join this meeting. Boris.
David, very briefly, now when you go for the Leisure World Clubhouse 1, would you be so kind just to take some pictures and send it to me and Mindy? Because
Yes.
we would like to deploy some additional signage as deemed necessary once you go take a walkthrough.
Yes, that would be great because, quite frankly, I've been to Leisure World many times. When you park, it looks totally different than what you're used to. You're using a different entrance than you're used to. The buses will go to the original entrance. And yes, I will be happy to take photos and send them to you. And hopefully the other two precincts don't have as much change as this one does, but I will definitely do that. Is there anything else that anyone would like to report on from this morning, or anything that we are concerned about for the rest of the day? Alex.
Actually, just a compliment. I think the precinct maps that are pasted against the windows at the entrance to the polling places really look good. And I had never seen those before, but great idea. So
I believe that is a Boris Brajkovic innovation, to my knowledge, or at least one under his leadership.
Which does not surprise me, Mr. President.
Yes, I'm not surprised either, but thank you, Boris. I did suggest to the Jewish Community Center precinct that rather than putting it on the front door, that they put it on the door to the room where the polling is taking place, because I don't think people are showing up there from nearby precincts. I think what's happening is that people are coming into the building, using it for some other purpose, and then walking past and thinking that they can just vote there. Anyway, Boris, go ahead.
Yeah, just a small reminder. There are two sets of maps that we sent out. The big one that we requested judges to put at the entrance door to capture a voter's attention. And there should be two smaller maps, size 17 inches, at the entrance to the polling place as the voters stay in line. So they can look at it and figure out that is that the polling place for them. So
Okay.
I just need to be sure that election judges put it up as instructed. So that will be a kind of nice
I would,
observation if you notice it, please.
and I will just say that I didn't pay as close attention to that as I
Fair enough.
should have. So please don't assume that they didn't simply because
Oh,
I
I'm
didn't
not. I'm
notice
not.
it.
I'm just saying we thought about this. We wanted to capture the attention in two different spots, entry and the line.
Which I think is great. And Alex, thank you for bringing that up because I think that is an important innovation for people to be able to figure that out. Just to add to the issues with that, DC is doing vote centers. So I saw on TV this morning, DC has 75 vote centers where you can vote anywhere in the city as long as you vote in one of those vote centers. So they're trying something totally different than what we're doing in Maryland on election day. Anyway, hopefully our voters understand we have been repeating it as often as we can. Okay, is there anything else for us to talk about today? I mean, obviously, we're all available by phone for Boris or Kevin or whoever needs us, or if we need to talk to each other. I want to thank all of you for being out and about and for the work that you're doing. I think our election workers are doing a fabulous job. And we appreciate them. We appreciate them greatly. Every election has some lines in some places. We're going to try and keep those to a minimum as we can, but none of us should be overly alarmed by our lines. We're going to try and address them where we can. I heard of a need to address possibly Gaithersburg High School, Gaithersburg Elementary School, and Riderwood. I'm not sure that we had others that were quite as long lines from what I heard this morning. But obviously, if you do hear of such things, we will make sure that we let Boris know and we will address them in any way we can. And Boris and Kevin, if it would be helpful to send board members to any of those particular locations, just let us know. Happy to help with that. Line management has become one of my skills in my years on the board. So I'm happy to assist with that if that would be helpful. A reminder to board members and the public that our canvas convenes again on Thursday at 10 o'clock at its usual location at Montgomery College, Germantown. And then our canvas will meet again at that same location on Saturday. Let me just, for the benefit of the public, Boris, could you please explain to everyone what results we expect to be released shortly after the polls close and what we expect to be released as the night goes on?
So as the polls close, we will release through the state the results of early voting, the results of early canvass. I just have to confirm the total number of ballots that we actually scanned from that canvass. And then that will be at 8 o'clock. And after that, we will be announcing results per precinct as we go through the night. We don't expect every polling place to close at the same time. We don't expect every results to become available in the same time from each polling place. But I'm very hopeful by 11 o'clock that we should have all the precincts results reported for the Montgomery County.
And then let me just to clarify, I believe that there are roughly 60,000 mail-in ballots that are listed as received on the state's website, but not all of those have been scanned.
Yeah, David,
I'm not asking for the actual number. What I'm asking, what I wanted to just get clarified is you're going to publish the results of the ones that are scanned. I know that the very same staff has to deal with early voting today, so it's possible that that will not be as many. And I assume that the balance of mail-in ballots will not necessarily be released tonight. That's what I wanted to find out.
Yeah. So we following each canvas, we have to first, when we receive ballots, they're in the receive status. When they go through the canvas and board of canvassers, as our board oversees the opening process and the canvassing process that is legally mandated, they on the staff level, we have to transition them into accepted status. Our total number of accepted vote by mail ballot is almost 80,000. The only difference it shows 64 at the state website is that it takes a bit of time on our end because we cannot accept everything, and the state pulled the results for their website at some point, so we were not done when they did that. So you are, David, absolutely correct. That's the number from the state, but I see our internal number, which is slightly higher.
Well, that's great. And but again, I guess my question is, should we expect all 80,000 accepted ballots to be scanned
Majority,
today?
absolute majority. I have to check because yes, the team was scanning, and at some point we have to pull them in because they are, as you rightly pointed out, they are the same people who sit at the help desk, provide technical advice to our election judges who are setting up the polling place. So I apologize. I really didn't follow the number of boxes that there were left behind them because we were all in the call center helping setup of 232 polling places last night.
Understood. Okay. So tonight will be all of early voting, as much of already accepted mail-in ballots as time permits, and the precincts as they come in.
That's correct.
And then we will continue. And then as we canvass in the post-election period, we actually release numbers at the end of each day, as provided by law. They are not necessarily a scientific sample. They are just whatever it is that we happen to do. And at the end of each day, we release those numbers and then we go on to the next one.
Correct.
So, okay. Anything else from anybody else?
Mr. President, will you be needing any of us to be present at the headquarters tonight or not?
I don't believe there is a need for that. But Boris, you can, or Kevin, you can let me know. My sense is that we can come if we'd like, that mostly we would just be observing, and that we also don't need to be there. But Boris, what is your, and Kevin, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'll take it. David, I think that's correct. If you want to come back to observe, you can, but quite frankly, you're going to get more up-to-date election results by sitting actually and refreshing your computer than you are actually being here at the Board of Elections. There's a lot of moving parts in terms of, obviously returning of equipment, organizing provisionals, critical items that need to be stored. So the staff's very busy doing all of that. But there's no need for board members to be present for that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that, Kevin. If it does turn out that anyone wants to be there, we should definitely let staff know in advance, just so that they know that we're there. And otherwise, we are I was going to say a phone call away, but we're a phone call or a text or an email away, wherever we are. So anyway, okay, excellent. Thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay.